Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Virginia Kilmore, and welcome to my studio. If you haven't gotten a hold of the sale items yet, Stampin' Up! Is having a major sale on everything from this catalog. Not everything, lots of things from this catalog. Some items as high as 50% off. If you'd like to see this list, please make sure to click on the link that is included in today's list of supplies when you look at this post. But so we can get started on that card, and I'll tell you more about the sale while we're working. Let's get going. Sorry. I knew that sneeze was going to happen. I was trying to make it not happen, but nothing I can do. I'm down here in my cold basement. I need to turn the heat on. Isn't this card beautiful? Oh my gosh. I just love the sparkle of that. And it's done with a stamp set called Peaceful Boughs. I'm going to zoom out so you can see a little bit better. This is the stamp set, Peaceful Boughs. I love the branch work, and it creates for a perfect collage. And I just realized I did not post our supplies today, so I'm going to go ahead and just put that right up here. It may move around during the presentation because I don't have it glued down, but I think you can handle that. So that's a list of everything that we're using today, as well as I always post it on the information about this presentation. So I stamped everything in Night of Navy, and I also use shaded spruce ink. Oh my goodness, this is the problem when I don't glue things down. So we use Night of Navy and shaded spruce ink. And it's pretty quick card, so I'm going to get started on it right away. You are going to need a piece of 8.5 by 5.5 Whisper White cardstock, or you could already do it on a shaded spruce piece of cardstock. You can just substitute this measurement with shaded spruce and then cut a Whisper White piece of shaded spruce to go on the inside of your card. And I'm going to go ahead and glue that down so that that dries nicely before we put together our card. I like to have that all done and set aside. I'm seeing a problem right here that happens to me from time to time. I'm just not always super careful when I cut. So there's two ways I can go about it. I can take my trimmer and just trim it right off, or use scissors. I think today I'm going to use my trimmer. Let's see how good I do. I just didn't trim enough. I need to trim a little bit more. Our new trimmer is great because it goes through several layers of cardstock, and I love that about it. So I'm going to set this aside and let it dry while we work on the card. We are going to need a scrap piece of cardstock for our sentiment, and I'll do that in a bit. But let's stamp this part first. And I am going to put down a scrap piece of paper so I don't make a mess of my relatively clean. And we won't need the shaded spruce till we do our sentiment, but we are going to need the Night of Navy. And I'm really going to use just this one bow from it. You could change it up if you wanted to, and I am going to turn it sideways. And I'm going just to stamp along this edge. The Night of Navy really stands out against the shaded spruce. Shaded spruce might not have stood out quite as much. I'm seeing that I didn't do a great job, so I'm just going to go back in and just touch up these spots. Because it's a collage effect, you can get away with stamping over areas that aren't quite perfect. And how many of us have done that when we go to stamp, we're just disappointed with how the pad inks. I know that happens to me quite a bit. One of the tricks is to move your stamp set along the edges if your stamp is not stamping really well. That usually solves the problem. So my stamping is done now except for my sentiment, which we'll do right now. Now I could have done that in the Night of Navy, but I really like the shaded spruce. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that on a scrap piece of paper and then just go ahead and punch it out. Same thing here if it's not stamping well, and this is why I always like to stamp once on a scrap piece of paper. I'm going to stamp it over here so that I have no problem getting that out of a circle. I think at the same time I'm going to stamp on the inside of my card. I don't know if you saw, there was a beautiful sentiment in there about Christmas and this time of year. This card could be sent to anyone because it says Season's Greetings. And we all have friends of different denominations. It's always nice to be able to include them. I like stamping this down here. And that's stamped very nicely. I'm going to set this aside and we'll go ahead and punch this now. This card is going to be fast. We'll be done in just a few minutes because really what builds out the design is paper that is cut from a laser cut paper from foil. Let me see if I can explain that better than I am right now, but I am going to add our ribbon. I'm going to cut a piece of this beautiful spruce ribbon. I had a ton of this ribbon because I love the gold cording, and you have to order both. But strangely, I'm using up both relatively quickly. I don't know if that's on sale this week, but that sale is amazing, and things are selling out. Remember, they're as available. If they're not available, you've lost out on the sale, so I would get on that sale right away. And this is going to go on here. I'm going to glue that down. My glue is waning here. I don't use a lot of glue. A lot of people think you need a lot of glue to get a card down, but this glue is really great. Once it hits, it sticks. I always do that to sort of make sure the glue squishes out and goes to all the places. It helps dry it a lot quicker too. So now all that's left is to put this little sentiment, and I can see I did something there to my card. I damaged it. So what we used is Forever Gold laser cut paper. Now we used that last week to make this card. I'll show it to you so you can see. See this card that we made last week? But in it comes not only those rectangles, but these pieces that are all different. And this is the one we used. Let's play around with our circle and see if we find something we like. Ooh, that's kind of nice, and this would be nice too. I'm just going to pull one of these out just so that you can see, even though you don't have the same one, you can use different ones to create the same effect. Let's see how that looks. Ooh, that's really pretty. And then that goes in there. Oh, I think that's what we're going to go with. I like to change things up. So I am going to go ahead and glue this down. Now with foil, it is trickier to get it to stay. So you want to let it sit for a second. And while that's sitting, I think I'm going to show you how to fix this little problem right here. Let's see if I can find my little erasers. I have tons of them, but of course now I can't find them. These are great little mono adhesive erasers, and I use these all the time when I have a problem like this. It literally sands the color off the paper. Oh my God, that is amazing. There's still a little bit there, so I'll work on that. But it never fails to amaze me how that works. That took off almost all of it. So this card is still available to be given to someone. You can't even see the line anymore. So that's always wonderful when we mess up like we just did. So I think that's dry enough now that I can flip it over. I am going to use dimensionals to lift this, and I like to use sometimes the corners of the dimensionals for some of my stuff. So I'm going to cut out a pretty big piece. This is so helpful, these little pieces that, you know, most people just throw away. I never do. I'm going to use this on this corner, and this one over here. I think I need to trim this though. We'll put that one in the middle. And now I just lift this all off, and I have a beautiful piece to put in the center of my card as long as it didn't move. And it didn't. And I'm going to place that right there in the middle. Wow. That is amazing, the bling on that. And there we have it, a very fast Christmas card that you can do using a set that I just love. I just ordered it. I had been resisting it, but I ordered it. I couldn't stand it. I hope you enjoyed today's presentation, and I hope you join me tomorrow. Don't forget our sale. You may want to take advantage of that today. The sooner the better, because once it's gone, it's gone. If you want to see the sale item,